Hi class, Mr. Goyette with National University Virtual High School. Covering World History A, I wanted to congratulate many of you for finishing Units 1 through 3, and now as we're starting Unit 4, as we prepare for the midterm, I wanted to take some time to let you know what will be on the midterm. Using your Unit 2 and Unit 3 review sheets, the downloadable items in the doc sharing box, you'll find that the majority of the material is found there. In this brief video, I intend to go over the questions that will help you, or some of the topics that will help you answer the questions on the midterm. So here we go. Remember that the Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence, American democracy itself was influenced by the philosophers, the Enlightenment philosophers, men like Hobbes with his social contract, but most especially Voltaire, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and John Locke. Of course, Montesquieu is also important, but you want to remember that it was all of those men who contributed in some part to it. Remember the slogan of the French Revolution, that being Égalité, Fraternité, or Liberty, Equality, or Liberty, Equality, Fraternity. Basically, they want to make sure that you notice that justice is included in there. Kind of do the what is missing, where's Waldo kind of thing. Understand the importance of the law of universal cohabitation. You want to revisit that. Which group finally forced Robespierre from power? You want to also review Robespierres' reign. The fact that he pushed the revolution to such a point where his own ideals, his own fear of the elite led to his own dethroning, his own loss of power, because once he became the leader, he was then put on the list to be guillotined. Remember that in the first half of the 1800s, the political liberal movement came out of the middle class, the merchant middle class. It wasn't a group of the wealthy, it wasn't necessarily a revolutionary, a peasant, but it was from the merchant middle class where the liberal movement came out of the 1800s. The other thing you want to review is in the 1700s, which of the following showed influence of Enlightenment ideals. Enlightenment ideals were really a mixed bag. So you had things like the smallpox vaccination. You had women reading novels. You had women allowing their children to have vaccinations, and men attending salons where they would argue and debate politics. All those things were part of this movement of the Enlightenment, to create liberal ideas and people to allow them to question fundamental beliefs. One of the important things that we didn't go over, that you just reviewed in Unit 4, would be the red shirts, and you want to take note of Giuseppe Garibaldi and the red shirts. If you remember that name, Giuseppe Garibaldi, and the red shirts, if you match those two, you'll do well in the exam. Also take note of the Baroque style. Baroque style was ornate, that is, it was very detailed, very gaudy. The neoclassical style was simple and elegant. The Baroque style was all over the place, windy and flowery. Some people like it, some people really can't stand it. But the Baroque style was, again, grand and ornate, and the neoclassical style was simple and elegant. The ruler of the new unified Germany Empire was given the title of Kaiser. It's not the hospital. Kaiser comes from Caesar. You'll notice that Caesar, Tsar, and Kaiser all have the same somewhat sound to them. They all mean the same thing, king or ruler. You'll want to look up who Victor Hugo is as an author. You'll want to note that the Romanticism led to the Gothic novel. How were the unifications of Italy and Germany similar? Well, of course, in that case, both used military forces to unify various territories. Take note of that. The artistic styles of the Latin Americans under Spanish control were basically, the artistic style was realism. Pericles, you'll want to note that Pericles allowed poor citizens to participate in government. That was his theory. According to the Torah, God's choice to be father of the Hebrews was Abraham, not Moses. A lot of people make that mistake. So when you mark that one down, look for Abraham. Which of the following reflects the correct sequence steps used in the scientific process? Of course, review your scientific method. Okay, the medieval church was, of course, authoritarian. Which of the following is not true about neoclassical style? Neoclassical style, again, tended to be ornate, highly detailed, and rich in color. Neoclassical was the simple one. Baroque was ornate, highly detailed, and rich in color. Neoclassical simple, Baroque rich, ornate. The peasants who wanted to reform the Catholic Church in the 16th century believed that the church was too powerful. They felt that it was controlling too much of their lives and that they couldn't express themselves on their own, so they had to overthrow the church to allow for freedoms. And they also felt that the worship wasn't accurate. It was a corrupt church. But basically that it was essentially too powerful. Which of the following events did not occur before the American Revolution? You want to take note that Shays' Rebellion, that was the big rebellion that required that the new republic, Democratic Republic of the American Experiment, had to look at itself and say, wait a second, the Articles of Confederation aren't working. We need to draw up a constitution that's more sound in addressing the issues of states' rights versus a federal system. Shays' Rebellion is after the revolution, not before it. Going to the Congress of Vienna, who is the person most responsible? You got to remember Prince Clemens von Metternich. Metternich, of course, was discussed quite a bit in our last chapter. Okay, getting through this. Religion of the Hebrew people is Judaism. Toussaint Louverture is the enslaved African of Saint Dominique. You want to review that. That was in our last Unit 4. How many votes would each estate get? The issue arose after the King of the States met at the States General meeting. And Spain, the big issue in Spain with Congress of Vienna was the issue of, or the basis of legitimacy. Moving on, take note of the continental system. Study the continental system in Napoleon. The Magna Carta, who signed it, which king was in power. Which of the following was probably not influenced by nationalism during the 1800s? Review the concept of nationalism during the 1800s. Okay, moving on. The numbers of the Third Estate paid most of all the taxes. So really the lower classes, not the elite, not the clergy, and not the aristocracy, they didn't pay most of the taxes. It was mostly the lower classes that did. Power was divided between the central and state governments in the federal system. Despite unification, Italy suffered from tensions between the industrial north and the agricultural south. Sounds familiar? Industrial north, agricultural south, much like the American Revolution. Tsar Alexander the First used a strategy of scorched earth policy. As Napoleon got close to the capital, he just burned everything, destroyed it, so Napoleon couldn't use it. Make sure you check out Martin Luther again in the Catholic Church. Review the Bill of Rights, Declaration of Man. Men are born and remain free and equal. And for now, that's about where we're going to stop it here soon, because I don't want to cut you up. Good luck on the test, and call me if you have any questions.